is Ally Burnett from the Buyer's Box. Today we have a very special guest, Mia from Reside.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. So happy to have you today on our podcast. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Hey, everyone, my name is Mia. I'm the director of team production at Reside. Allie, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Can you share a little bit about your role at Reside so everybody has a little bit of background about you?
Definitely. I basically what I do all day is train and coach agents and real estate team owners. So I currently run a 6-week program inside of called Reside Intensive Sales Experience, which we call RISE and internally for the organization. And I'm doing two 90-minute trainings a week with our agents. We have three of those going on at any given moment. So we always have three launches going on. But yeah, I've been coaching and training for the better part of a decade now, and worked with thousands of agents and hundreds of team owners, and just getting the reps in on coaching and training and helping agents get into production.
Thank you. All of our agents have all gone through RISE. RISE is important for us because it really just focuses on the sales methodology, getting into good habits. And so today I want to talk a lot about what are some of the good habits that productive agents need to be doing, should be doing.
Well, I think the thing that we sort of get wrong in the industry sometimes is we overthink that the answer to that question, and it really is very simple. It's not necessarily like which I could give you a very specific prescription. But if we're talking habits, things that would actually cause you to accomplish the things within that prescription, you have to, as an agent, anybody, but as an agent in this dynamic, you will have to learn how to show up imperfectly over and over and over again. So the number one habit that any agent could develop, and that we do this in Rise, and it's something I recommend everyone focus on, is learning how to tolerate the discomfort of the process and really leaning into the showing up part and abandoning the need for perfection. Once that's established, then we get into tactical. And for me, it's always three things: the 2-minute conversation, which is we want 20 to 35 of those per week, two met consultations, and adding to your database. So we want to see 5 added to your database every week.
Very fair. And we focus a lot on those in our team. Can you talk a little bit about when should I be doing this? First thing, afternoon, anytime? I've never done this before. Where do you get started?
Yes. My rule of thumb is I don't care when you lead generate. I do not care when you lead generate. You just need to lead generate. But here are some best practices on when to choose that time. Number one is if you're on a team, find a way to get into community around your lead generation, whether that be on a team Zoom you're lead generating together, or in the office you're lead generating together. I know that the story a lot of people have is it's kind of hard to understand, it's too loud, etc. I say lean into the energy and watch how many more appointments you set, watch how many more nurtures you get, because that energy is so palpable and contagious. The other thing is if you can be in with people, like that would be ideal, but the environment in general is going to matter. You want to make sure that you're standing when you're lead generating. I'll get to the best times, but I would give some best practices first. Standing during lead generation is a lot more impactful than sitting during lead generation. Not a deal breaker if you're sitting during lead generation. Definitely, it's beneficial for us to be standing, opening up that line of energy, giving better access to your diaphragm. It's just you're opening up your whole body. And then as far as when you lead generate, now, statistically, you're going to get a lot more people on the phone from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., especially on Thursdays. There was a Harvard study that was done years ago, and I found this just anecdotally true over and over and over again. It's why I feel like call nights are best on a Thursday evening. However, the likelihood that an agent or a human being would show up to something that there's already a lot of resistance around, and there's a million reasons for that we've talked about in Rise before, and we can talk about it anytime if you want on here. We already know there's a lot of resistance to lead generation for many reasons. It's the thing that I think is hardest for agents to do over and over and over again. And so evening lead generation is not usually a good strategy for agents, mostly because self-discipline and willpower are finite and they're depleted by lunchtime most days. The putting something that is really difficult to arrive to on a good day when your energy's right, at the end of your day when life is going to show up the loudest and your self-discipline and willpower have been depleted, you're tired, you've already gone through the motions, decision fatigue, etc. I call it a poor man's strategy. If you are somebody that has the ability to show up to your business that way, that's not a hard thing for you, then yes, I would play to the numbers. However, most agents are building their business on morning lead generation. Most successful agents actually are building their business on morning lead generation. I like to see 9 to 11. I think that's a good rule of thumb. 10 to 12 works. When I was an inside sales agent and I was calling expireds, I was on the phones as early as 7:30 or 8 some days. We could talk about limiting beliefs around that, but I set a lot of appointments doing listings doing that. Our team took a lot of listings. So lead generation in terms of like when is the earliest time that you can realistically achieve this over and over and over again. Somewhere between 9 and 10 start time is ideal.
Sure. And I think it's more of a grit, showing up every day, showing up for yourself, committing to it. I've heard a lot of people say that you don't want to make it a routine. You want to make it a ritual, something that's non-negotiable. So that's what I'm hearing you say.
Absolutely.
Let's just say 10 to 12 or 9 to 11, that couple hour time frame. How many calls should you expect or put in your mind? I need to make blank number of calls.
So ultimately, it's dependent on your ability to show up. So I'll give you best practices because if you have a goal to sell 50 homes this year, which that's a big goal for most agents, even 24 homes sometimes, right? Even 24 homes can be a lot. You've got to get the lead measures right. And the more of your skill set that you can get established in that lead measure, the bigger the outcome will be. I used to tie those lead measure metrics, like the 2 minute conversation, how many should we have? I used to tie that directly to the outcome. And more and more and more, I'm seeing actually you need to show up no matter what. And I want to see that you can get 20 to 35 2 minute conversations per week. So if I'm an agent showing up to lead generation every day, I want to chisel out at least 2 hours and I want to attempt 50 dials an hour at minimum. I want to see if I can get at least 50 dials per hour. Out of those 50 dials, average dial to answer rate is somewhere between 7 and 10%, depending on the lead source. It can be lower or higher, but usually it's somewhere in that 7 to 10%. Then ideally, I want to see I can speak to about 5 contacts, 5 people per hour. So I call a contact. I made it clear that my intent was to talk about real estate. You responded in any way, shape, or form with your voice. That's a contact. Not a lot of quality needed for it to be established as a contact, which is why the 2 minute conversation is so critical. Because when I get past the contact, it's showing me a tremendous amount of skill between from the intro to just the 2 minutes. How well you handle the objection or bypass the objection, your tonality, the questions that you're asking, the intro, everything. There's so many skill that's involved just in that 2 minute conversation. So if you have a goal, if you were maybe thinking I can do 12 a year or 24 a year, and you'd like to see yourself double it maybe to 24 or getting to 48 to 50 a year, the skill set gap is actually what you'd work on, not necessarily creating doing more activities, because you do need to do a lot of activities. I'm not saying that that's not a required part of the equation here, but we can't make more time. And we're already, as human beings, that's an actual impossible thing. We can't make more time. And it's already difficult to get that time established consistently as it is with our habits. So
Yeah.
my skill actually becomes the biggest mover of my outcome, of my goal.
Thanks, Mia. I love that. Today, we recapped a little bit about what are some good habits for productive agents, when we should be doing these calls, what sort of time frames, how to build this into your schedule. And this was some really great content, lots of things that we use with our agents. And on our next episode, since we're only doing short episodes, we're going to talk a little bit about how to implement these great skills to add in and just kind of keeping the momentum going.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been so awesome.
Thanks, Mia.